Attend easy. Planning an event like a fundraiser, banquet, or gala? That's awesome! These events are a great way to raise money for your organization and invite others into the important work you are doing. The problem is that many nonprofit staff are already stretched so thin with their time that adding an event to the mix can also add unnecessary stress. This is where Attend Easy comes in with total event management at your fingertips. Attend Easy provides you with online registration, automated confirmation emails sent to your guests, host management tools that empower your hosts to update their own guest lists, and email tools to quickly invite and follow up with guests. With our professional event-branded web pages and emails, you will be putting your best foot forward. You will also have the ability to manage details like table assignments, name tags, and reports. With Attend Easy, you will be fully prepared for the big day. At the event, our live attendance app will keep your check-in lines moving. You can check in guests at lightning speed, record last-minute changes, and update seating assignments just moments before the event begins. Unlike other online event resources, Attend Easy is far more than just event registration. It's complete event management from beginning to end. Book a demo today and learn how Attend Easy can help you manage your event with ease.
Not using Fundeasy for event management and peer-to-peer fundraising? What are you waiting for? Fundeasy gives your participants the ability to share about your ministry through their social networks, spreading the word and increasing donations at the same time. With our simple 3-step process, your participants have everything they need to be fundraising champions. 1. They simply start a personal fundraiser page by registering for your event. 2. They spread the word using automated social sharing. And 3. They collect funds that are then deposited right to your organization's bank account. We know there's a lot more to your event than just fundraising. Stressed out trying to manage the details? Don't worry! Fundeasy's Total Event Management tool also provides you with a customized event webpage, online registration, email tools to quickly invite and follow up with your fundraisers, easy reports for quick exporting of key information, and the ability to run invoices and receipts, as well as everything your bookkeeper needs to keep track of event funds. Fundeasy makes fundraising a breeze by providing you and your fundraisers with simple tools to raise money for your organization in a fun, professional way. With Fundeasy, you're ready for the big day. Book a demo today and see why so many organizations are raving about Fundeasy.
All right, well, we are live. It is Tuesday, March 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are ready to talk about how to convert your physical event to a virtual event. And I have with me a special guest and a dear friend, Jim Dempsey, who is the Associate Executive Director of Development for Cru Campus Ministry. Hey, Jim, welcome to the webinar.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Hey, could you give us just a brief description of what you've been doing over the last couple of years?
Well, this is my 36th year in development. I've had the opportunity to conduct over 2,500 dinners in those 36 years. I've been serving with the campus ministry of Cru since 1998 and have been the associate director for the last 2 years. So I'm really excited to be able to provide coaching, counseling, mentoring for a lot of our local teams when it comes to their dinners and events.
I'm so excited to have Jim on with us. He's going to give us some great insight into what we're talking about today. And I'm your host for today, Jason Galicinski. I'm the CEO here at Ministry Sync. So we are hearing the news every day. It seems like CNN and Fox News and all these guys, they're just compounding more and more and more and more. And Jim, just tell me a bit about your week. Like how's it been going?
Well, I would say this probably all started a week ago Wednesday when media started to continue to pick up on the implications of the coronavirus. We started to see that more and more activities were being canceled, everything from sporting events to entire seasons. Schools were being closed, colleges were being closed, and it started to be really a snowball effect where more and more events were being canceled. And I was getting calls from just countless local teams wanting to consider all their options, whether they should cancel, whether they should postpone, whether they should they had to pay their minimum deposits, whether they had to honor their contract. I've been on the phone solid for probably at least 5 out of the last 7 days, and it's been quite a ride talking to local teams and also to venues trying to help ministries navigate through that.
We want to talk about what we can do with our events because we're on the brink of event season for the spring, and we've got hundreds and hundreds of banquets and walks and golf outings and all kinds of stuff. And like, what do we do? What are our options? So that's the kind of stuff we want to talk about today. People are kind of in panic mode, right? And when we panic, we just kind of don't know what to do, and so we just cancel everything. But let's consider our options. Maybe there's other things we can do. We have this great resource called the internet, and we're using it right now. We're doing a live event right now using the internet. We've got over 200 people watching us, so we're having a virtual event right now, and I think that's really exciting that we can model this and maybe suggest that these are other things we can do.
Well, one of the things I've found in this is that patience is the most important factor in this. I think the measured response that a ministry has is going to benefit them greatly. Those teams that panic and jump into making irrational decisions are the ones who end up losing. So patience is the key in this.
So there's really 3 options that we have to consider here, and these 3 options are going to be in reverse order. So option number 1 is that you can postpone your physical event to a later date. And Jim, why don't you talk about some of the ramifications of that?
Postponing your event has just enormous ramifications. So what I would recommend, first of all, is going back to review your contract. Make sure that you understand exactly what you are obligated to, from deposit to your minimum food and beverage. Those are very, very important, and we'll talk about some of those ramifications and some of the things that you're going to be required. Secondly, you want to make sure that you contact your venue representatives to review your options. Realize that this person has probably talked to 10 people just like you that day, and realize that those individuals are probably a little stressed out. So do your best to model a Christ-like atmosphere when you're talking to those individuals, but also you need to be firm. If the government or your organization, as example, in our organization, Crew has canceled our events between now and June 15th. Go in there letting them know that you do need to cancel, and if postponing and moving to another date is an option, you need to find out if that is. If you're going to lose all your money, but you wouldn't lose it by postponing or rescheduling within 6 months or 12 months, that's not a bad option to consider.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing that we'd want to look at, you want to make sure you find an alternative date. I would go in there with some dates in mind, because it helps them very much for you to give them a date, not for you to say to them, well, what dates do you have available in the fall? It's much better if you can go in there with a handful of dates that they can look at those and make a decision. Now, if you decide to have your dinner shift from the spring to the fall, you've got to make a decision beforehand and go in there with knowledge that, do I want to make the fall my regular seasonal pattern? And there are a lot of ramifications, those with ministries and organizations that deal on an academic basis. That's the start of a school year, and there are a lot of things going on at that time. Or even, even if you're just starting out, with individuals who are involved in the school system, it's really important that you realize that the fall is very busy. So if you decide this is a one-time deal, I just want to do it in the fall, but I want to get back to the rotation of being in the spring, then you're going to have to make a decision. Do I come back again approximately 6 months later and do another dinner right away on the heels of this, or do I wait 18 months and so skip by the next spring and wait till the following spring? That's a big decision, because
18 months is a long time.
18 months is a very long time, and especially if your organization, your ministry relies on that dinner. And most of our teams and the ministries that I'm counseling they want to make sure that they probably have 30, 40, 50% or more are getting their revenue from those dinners.
All right, so those are some pretty serious things. It sounds like postponing your event, even though that's an option, is probably not the best option. There's probably better things we can do, right?
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about option number 2, which this would be the second worst case. We'll get to the best case. We're saving the best for last here. But option number 2 would be, if you're capable of moving forward with your event, meaning that the state or government officials hasn't prohibited it, then go for it. Get together, but I would anticipate that there's going to be a lot less people attending just because of the fear factor. So in that case, we are recommending that you live stream your event. So this is, you're still moving forward, you're still able to do the event at the hotel or at the church or wherever you were going to do, but plan on live streaming, add that to your setup so that guests who can't come for whatever reason are still able to watch your event at home. And your final option, if the worst case is that you cannot physically get together for your event, is let's convert your physical event to a virtual event. And this actually is a very good option. One of the benefits of doing a virtual event now is that you don't have to postpone your event until later, because there might be just really bad consequences to shifting your event around to a different season. So I think the virtual event is a really viable option. I really think you should consider this. And actually, the majority of what we're going to be talking about for the rest of this webinar is exactly this. We are going to be talking about how to move and convert your physical event to a virtual event, and that is actually the title of this webinar. So we're going to get into a lot of details here. So the scenario here is that the hotel or government has made it impossible for you to physically gather together in groups, and the solution is that we're going to convert our physical event to a virtual event. Jim, I like how you came up with this. Don't cancel, change. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, cancel sounds so definitive and really sort of has a negative spin to it. Certainly people will understand, and everybody is canceling, but we're not, this is not going to be a final step for us, that we're just not going to do the event. We're talking about don't cancel, change. We're just changing platforms. We're changing venues. We're changing the way that we communicate our mission, vision, values, and our opportunities to our audience.
That's great. So I can already hear the excuses already, like, oh man, that sounds really hard. That sounds really techy. I don't know how to do that. Well, it's not that hard. We're actually going to show you how to do it. I've never done a live stream before. I don't know how to do that. That sounds complicated. Well, we're going to show you how to do it. We're going to give you the tools and everything you need to know how to do it. So by the time you're done with this webinar and some follow-up things we're going to send you, you will have no excuses. I can hear other people saying, well, don't you need expensive equipment to do this, like cameras and equipment and stuff like that? Well, actually, you have everything you need. So we've got a little surprise for you later on in this webinar, but I don't want to give that away quite yet. There are 5 steps to running a smooth virtual event. Step number 1, email your guests immediately and let them know that you're not canceling, you're changing. So let them know that, hey, with the coronavirus and things going on in the world, we've decided to change locations. We're going to be doing a virtual event now, but keep it on your calendar and we'll send you information as we go.
Oh, absolutely. It's you want to make sure that your people are up to speed on everything that you're doing along the way. You want to keep them plugged in. The word cancellation means I'm finished, I'm done, and we don't need to worry about this event or even supporting this ministry anymore. So getting in touch with them right away and immediately letting them know that there will be an alternate plan is so important.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the second thing we are going to recommend is that you pre-record your live event as a video. So this might kind of make someone go, what are you talking about? But actually, if you think about it, when you watch TV, how much is even live these days? Even the news, when you're watching the news, is it really live or is it all pre-recorded? Most of the time when you're watching TV, you're watching something that has been pre-recorded and edited, even if it was just an hour before. A lot of times it's pre-recorded stuff. Jim and I have thought this through a bit, and we thought, you know, you could get a bunch of cameras in a room and you could try to, jury rig some kind of live stream, in your church office or whatever, and that's just not going to go over very well. I think people are going to be bored, they're going to lose interest, you're going to have tech problems. So the easiest and cheapest thing for you to do is create a pre-recorded video of a live event and do it just like we're doing it right now, saying, hey, welcome to the dinner tonight, and put it together just like it's a live event. The benefit is that you can kind of stitch the video together. You can make sure that you're saying exactly what you want to say. You can edit it all together to be the right time, so you don't have to worry about going over time. There's just a lot of great benefits to doing a pre-recorded video.
Well, if you could get all the players together, all your program participants, and you could find a podium, then honestly, you could just dress up and you could do your presentations, all of you right behind the podium, just like you'd be there at your venue making a presentation. And frankly, most of the live stream or the iMag cameras that project an image on the screen are just taking it right from your neck up, and so it's the people really wouldn't even know the difference.
Yeah, so if you wanted to imitate kind of a formal event, you could definitely do it that way. You can also get super creative and like do a Skype call, or I don't know. There's all kinds of things, right? Like we have cameras on our phones. We can go mobile. We can do all kinds of creative things. But we're going to walk you through what a pre-recorded video would look like a little later on in this presentation. Number 3, live stream your pre-recorded video on YouTube the night of your event. So again, we're going to record the video. If your video is next week or in a few days from now, you have plenty of time to put together a video. Go find yourself a young guy that can edit stuff together, and then set up a live stream event on YouTube. And then we're going to show you how you can stream a pre-recorded video onto YouTube. So it has the appearance of being live, but it's actually a pre-recorded video. While you are live streaming, you'll have the opportunity to engage people on YouTube chat, and there's a lot of things you could do with that. So get together with your team and just think about some of the cool things you could do. You could have surveys,
quiz games. You could ask questions and have people answer them on their iPhone. There's just a wide variety of interactive activities that you could do during your dinner.
Yeah, and one of the things, of course, once you get to the part of your dinner where you want to appeal and ask for funds, you'll have the opportunity with the chat to post a link. We'd also recommend that you put the link in the YouTube description, so it's just always there. But there's going to be lots of ways. People might have questions during your event, like, can I mail a check, or can I do this, or can I do that? And so you could answer those questions in the YouTube chat while your video is playing. The 5th thing you're going to want to do is you want to give people the opportunity to give online. Now, a lot of ministries have online giving pages already, and so if you can use your existing online giving page, just use it. But if you want another option, we've got something ready for you later on in the presentation too. Jim, you want to take this one?
Absolutely. Well, from my standpoint, it's very important that before you have your event, your communication plan needs to be established and set up. We mentioned early on that what we want to do is communicate that we have changed plans. We've either rescheduled, we've postponed, or if in the case of a number of dinners, we've decided we're going to change the venue. Remember, we're not canceling, we're changing the venue and the platform, the way we're doing it. So you may want to start out by informing your hosts first of all. Your hosts, in many cases, are your best inviters. They've probably invited the most number of people. So you probably want to get out to them first, let them know what's happened. The board made a decision, government made a decision, the hotel, the venue made a decision for you. Get that information out to the host as quickly as possible that there's a change of plans. Then the next group you want to get out to is your entire audience. So after you've notified your table hosts and they're prepared, you want to make sure all the registered guests are informed that there is now a change of plans, and make sure that you communicate very clearly. And if you can do it, rather than just say there's a change of plans, we'll get back to you, if you can give them a very clear-cut plan of what you want to do. And one area that, as Jason and I were talking about our options, one area that this really does open up for you is getting out your message to your entire community. There may have been a number of people that really wanted to go to your dinner the night of the event when you did it, but they maybe had other activities. Certainly if they were nervous about that, but there may have been some people who just weren't able to go. Well, this would open up an opportunity for those people. So instead of having 250 people that would have been in the ballroom for your venue, you might even have 500 people that are watching your live stream presentation. That would be really exciting to be able to open this up to a larger audience.
So this is really an opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
this turns a difficult or challenging situation into a great opportunity.
Yeah, so think big, think bigger than normal. We don't need to worry about feeding 500 people or 1,000 people on YouTube, right? So we can have as many people join the live stream as we want. So this really does open up the doors to a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely.
So Jim, one of the questions as I was thinking through this, you know, we know how to do live events. We know we have a program. They typically are, you know, an hour and a half, and we have a guest speaker come, and we have all these things. I mean, should I just, you know, do the exact same thing with a live stream, or should I change the program?
Well, it's a great question, and in talking to a number of experts in this area, including individuals that I've had a chance to work with for a long time, it's really important that that we be very, very sensitive to how long this is. People's attention span these days are very short, and in thinking about what YouTube videos tend to work well, I think about the TED Talk model. That's about 18 minutes for a program. And there's a reason why TED Talks are 18 minutes, is that it just tends to really capture people's attention and begins to fall off much past that. Now, if we look at a program that's 18 minutes long, we definitely want to see, first of all, I recommend starting with a very captivating video, a dynamic video that kicks things off. About 2 minutes, and I know there's a lot of ministry videos out there that we can really use that communicate the message in 2 minutes or less. Then I recommend a ministry update, about 5 minutes, where you address the problem, the need, activities, and accelerators. Now, I know this seems like it's incredibly short to be able to communicate this in 5 minutes, but it just means that your ministry update has to be clear, concise, and to the point, and make sure that there isn't a lot of extras in the presentation. Of course, the next item then that's very important is that change life. Oftentimes people say change life videos or testimonies are what motivates them and really encourages them to see the success of the ministry. So that could either be a live testimony or a video, either one. you can keep it concise. And if you don't believe that a testimony can be done in 3 minutes, definitely work on trying to focus in that area. Next area, of course, is having an inspiring message. Now, you may have asked someone to be your main speaker and then your event was canceled. Well, what you could do is you could ask that person to, if they're local, to come in and do a 5-minute video for you to be used during this live stream event. But you could also ask the person, especially if they're out of town, to record a 5-minute message, take the most important elements of their talk and record in on that. And as we said earlier, that could be done on something as simple as one of the latest iPhones. Then, of course, you want to wrap things up with the appeal and present to people what are the ways that they can partner with you. We are going to be recommending that during the whole YouTube video that the URL for them to be able to give would be on there, or you could also have some other options such as Google Forms that could help to capture commitments for people, but focus in on the last 3 to 5 minutes on your appeal and the opportunities that people can have to give at that time.
So that's option number 1. Option number 2 would be a 45-minute program. And I want you to think more like Bible study groups. And the cool thing about this is that this type of program would really include your table hosts in a similar way that we would normally do at a traditional banquet. So let's talk a little bit in this situation what the responsibilities of a table host would look like during a live stream of a 45-minute program.
Yeah, well, I really think this is a creative option. I really like this a lot. And what this would do is this would allow table hosts to invite people to their home for either dessert or for a meal, and to be able to watch this event together as a group. Now, we know that if you do your dinner right, you're going to effectively utilize table hosts inviting their friends, friends inviting friends. And what this does is this keeps the best part of the dinner, because most of the time the communication that goes on is at the table. And if you can take that portion to someone's home and watch this live stream event together, it just makes it real special. So you would ask the table host to gather together their guests for dinner or dessert that night. Now, I wouldn't make this a requirement of being a table host in the live stream event, but I think it is a really creative way to get people together. And of course, in the age of the coronavirus, you may have some people that are reluctant to even invite others over to their home. But to me, if people are willing to do it, I would encourage them to do it.
So if you would email your table hosts, you could just ask them in a survey form, would you be willing to invite your table over for dinner or dessert to watch the live stream? And that would give you some real data to know what type of event to do. If 80% of your table hosts say, sure, I'd love to get together with my 8 guests or whatever, then now you know which program to do. But certainly we don't want to go against the recommendation of the government officials and stuff like that. I mean, I think I heard the latest is no gatherings under 20 or something. So we're certainly...
This would qualify to be under 20 in most cases. If you had a table of 10 at your house, this would qualify.
So let's take a look at what this 45-minute program would look like.
Well, as you're putting together a 45-minute program, the beauty is that you've got a little bit extra time now to be able to unpack some of the things that you weren't able to unpack in the 18-minute version. With this, you could actually have an MC, someone who would open and close the event for you. Once again, being sensitive to time, but being able to open it up. Then again, you've still got a dynamic video, something that tells a little bit about the ministry, who the ministry is, who you are, what you do. Then you would also have a ministry update. This time, though, instead of going 5 minutes, you can unpack things a little bit more. You're given 10 minutes in this option to tell a little bit more about the problem, the activities, the needs that you've got. And then, of course, your accelerators. What are those programs that, if funded, could move you to the next level? Of course, you always want to make sure that you remember to include testimonies. Those change lives. One of the options that you have here, now that you've got a little bit more time, I probably would never do a 5-minute video for a testimony, but I probably would look at potentially doing maybe a 2-minute and a 3-minute video that could be spread out in the middle of your program. So if you had 2 different ministry audiences, as an example, if you were Fellowship of Christian Athletes that reaches both coaches and athletes, you could have a 2-minute athlete testimony and a 3-minute coach's testimony. So focusing in on those changed lives, those lives that are important. If all you do is have 1 video testimony, then I would keep that to probably 3 minutes. Then, of course, you want your inspiring message. Now, if you invited someone to speak, you could have them, if you was local, just come to your venue and pre-record it, or you could just have them, especially if they're long distance, just record it on something as simple. And nowadays, iPhones, the latest iPhones, are sophisticated enough to be able to produce a really high resolution video for you, and you could just have them ship that video to you. Normally, our main presentations are 19 minutes, so you're just asking to tighten it up by 4 minutes, and it seems to work well. Then with this option, you can take a little bit more time to unpack the opportunities that exist. So the appeal, that's 5 minutes for that presentation. But especially with this longer version, when you've got the opportunity for your table hosts to pass out envelopes, you want to make sure you give them a little bit time to pass those out, fill those up, and collect those envelopes. So you're going to give yourself a little bit extra time as you make your decision, and then, of course, as you close the evening out with your MC again. So this longer program gives you a little bit more flexibility to unpack your ministry, your mission, vision, values, and opportunities out there in a better way. Well, from a follow-up standpoint, this could be one of your most important procedures to do in this whole process. Normally, what we do is we recommend that you visit individuals who have given significant gifts, and significant would be a gift of $600 or more, either largest single gift or cumulative. A call to the people minimum that are $600 or more. You call and thank them for their gift. Or we also believe that it's important that you write a thank you letter or mail merge a thank you letter to those individuals. But this visit, call, and write strategy is also important and can be employed, and it's especially important to employ it when you're talking about an online live stream event, because you're going to have some people who don't make a decision to give that night. And I think it's important for you to follow up, especially people who have given to your organization in the past at dinners. I think it'd be really important to follow up and just make sure, especially individuals who've made large gifts in the past, a follow-up phone call to those people just to find out, if you had an opportunity to pray about the options we mentioned on Saturday night, your gift last year of $1,000 really made a difference in what we were doing. And just wanted to find out if you've made a decision on whether you're able to help that way too. And that, again, that's always best done minimum by a call, or if you can do it, visit those people. Wouldn't be something necessarily you would write to those people, but add that personal touch of calling or visiting those people.
So one of the questions that we might have in a live stream is, how do we know who attended or not? In a normal event, we have live attendance and we're able to physically see them and mark them as attended. But in a live stream, how do we know if they attended or not?
Yeah, I think we've got to really look at there are opportunities along throughout that time to capture data from people, and certainly a survey may be a way to do that. And there are various forms of surveys that we could take throughout the evening to prepare people. What did you think of this platform? How did you did this work? Did we communicate our message? You could use Google Form, Typeform, or SurveyMonkey, all ways. I wouldn't probably put any more than 3 to 5 questions out there for people, because really, even though the answer to those questions may be important, the thing that's really even more important is capturing their data, their email address, so you know who's.
Well, and they actually might be more motivated if you are giving them something for free, maybe during the event. Like if you do some kind of giveaway, like, hey, let us know if you attended tonight, and we'll send you, you know, a free magnet or a prayer card or some kind of CD or something.
Yeah, or even that by filling this out, you are going to be enrolled for a drawing for an even larger thing.
Right. So anything we can do to try to get people to let us know that they were there, that would be really helpful information, because then we can mark them as attended inside Ministry Sync, and we'll be able to correspond with people that way. All right, so I am sold. I want to do a live event with a pre-recorded video, but I have no idea how to do it. So great news. I've been working extra hard to put together a video for you that is going to show you everything you need to know from start to finish. But before you even get that video, the first thing you need to do, and you need to do this right now, as soon as you get off this webinar, I want you to go to your YouTube account and I want you to enable live streaming. So I made this new tutorial video called How to Host a Live Stream Event Using a Pre-Recorded Video. And this video is going to walk you through step-by-step from beginning to end. This resource will be free to any Ministry Sync customers with an upcoming event. The second thing we want to be able to do is we want to offer a special one-time Fundeasy page. If you're looking to have more of a branded look, or maybe you want to display your goal in real time, maybe you want to be able to collect donations online and provide tax receipts via email, whatever the case is. I mean, if you already have a donate page for your organization and you want to use that in your live stream, great, go ahead. But if you want to have like a really nice branded thing, you want to use your images and just kind of make like a separate donation page just for this event, we are working really hard behind the scenes, and we're going to have for you a special version of Fundeasy available so that you can do this at your live stream. So we will send you information after this webinar on these two things. We're going to send you the video on how to set up a live stream using a pre-recorded video, and then we're going to send you information on how you can set up a one-time Fundeasy page for a branded donation process. Now, that donation page, you better check with your executive director to make sure that you're able to accept donations from a third party. I know some organizations like Crew don't allow that, so you might have to use your own donate page in the live stream. Well, for the most part, this wraps up our presentation. Jim, should we let the cat out of the bag?
Oh, I think we should. I think it's important.
All right, well, we were so excited about this idea to pre-record a live stream that we thought, you know what, we've got this live stream event coming up, this webinar on Tuesday, and wouldn't it be cool if we could pre-record the webinar and air it like it's a real live stream, just to illustrate the fact that we can actually do this. So that's actually what we did. So today is actually, right now we're, what is it? It's Friday night. It's Saturday night at, I don't even know what time it is. What time is it? It's 8 o'clock in the evening right now. So we, Jim and I have been working on this all Saturday, and we just decided, let's just do it. And so you've actually been watching a pre-recorded video, but it's done live on YouTube. And so this is exactly what we want you guys to do. And I think it's going to be really effective. So one thing I wanted to mention before we wrap up is that we do have a downloadable PDF available to everyone who is watching this video. Everything that we've talked about in this webinar is available in the PDF. We've summarized it for you and made it really clear, so you can just print that out and have it available to you as a reference. So definitely see the link in the description of this YouTube video. All right, we are at the question and answer time of our webinar, and I'm sure as we've been going through, you guys have a lot of questions. So you may have to log into YouTube to be able to write in the chat, but there is a chat window next to the YouTube stream. So go ahead and start writing in any questions. And Jim, I guess we're gonna have to call each other on Google, huh?
Yeah, we have to be rather creative, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna transfer off the pre-recorded call, and we are gonna switch to being live for real. And by that time, hopefully you guys will have a bunch of questions in the chat, and we will take care of answering those questions for the remaining 15 minutes or so of this webinar. All right, so we are live for real now, guys. I think we fooled our audience. I don't know. There's a few guys in there that were picking up on it, but so Crystal, you want to go through some of the chat and just address some of the questions that have come up?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for attending, and thank you for participating. This has been a really good time of reading through your chats and responding to some as we go. So we do have kind of a list of FAQs, so I thought we'd start there. Many of the same questions were asked at the same time. Why don't I address the big one, which was regarding Walk for Life events. We certainly had a lot of questions about walks, Walk for Life or other type of ministry, but the beauty of a walk event is that that event by nature does not have to be in person. So peer-to-peer fundraising gives you that privilege, especially with Fundeasy. So when using Fundeasy, folks can sign up to participate in your event, fundraise, but they don't necessarily have to show up. And so what we've seen a lot of folks do, and actually I worked in ministry before this, and we encourage this as well, is that for those who couldn't show up on that day for personal reasons or, government direction these days, we would encourage that they actually still walk on their own time and share pictures of their walk. So we had one lady who planned a trip to England the same time as the walk, but she was one of our faithful walkers and decided to still fundraise, and we gave her a Walk for Life t-shirt, and she took pictures of it in front of castles in England. So it was really neat afterwards to be able to share emails with the rest of the participants for that walk, to share pictures with them, to share stories and testimonials, even though not everyone who participated could be there in person. So we've already talked to lots of organizations that are doing similar things with their walk events, just encouraging people to fundraise. On our registration forms, you can have the option. So if your city or state has not banned larger groups, then you could give the option of, hey, I'm going to show up in person or I'm going to do this virtually. Our support team can certainly help you with that. So there's already some chatter in our Facebook community group about walks. And so I encouraged a couple times during today's webinar that if you're a Ministry Sync member, you join and participate in that Facebook group. I think now more than ever, we can really rely on each other, lean on each other, and collaborate together. There's some great ideas out there. So just if you're not a member of that group, you do have to request access. And so you do that at ministrysync.com/event planners. So anything else that you guys would like to add to that comment?
Well, one thing that I want to just make sure, and I think it's more of an overarching overall to this, is that each community is different. And I really want to make sure that we're very, very sensitive to the fact that we are doing an event in a time, we'll call it kind of a troubled time. There's a lot of people going through some challenging times, especially stock market, when you're watching 50% of your portfolio drop off. And so I would just say we probably just need to be as sensitive as we possibly can to going out before people. I would make sure that you take the temperature of your community, test the waters with some of your major partners, and find out if doing an event at all is really good. You may find that your community is just not there from the panic mode and everything else. So I want to really make sure that we are very sensitive. I also want us to know that this virtual event is not the silver bullet. It's not designed to make up for all the money that you may have lost from a live event. But it's to stay connected with your partners during this time so that you're not skipping a year of providing an opportunity for them to hear about the good things that God is doing, to partner with you, and to stay connected and plugged in. And from my standpoint, I think those are two really important items. But this is a great way to get your message out to people. Should your community be ready for that?
Yeah, like I said earlier this morning, New York City is going to look a lot different than Cookeville, Tennessee.
Right.
So it just depends on your city, depends on your state. You really have to take this webinar, take the information that we're giving you here, and go to your board and decide what's going to work for you guys. So we're not telling you what to do. We're just giving you ideas and giving you options. And if it's possible to do a webinar and you think it could work, I think it could work too. So
yeah.
Why don't we get to some of the questions, Crystal? I know there's been a lot that have piled up.
There are. I can start firing away. One big question is regarding the donor demographic. So essentially, if your donor demographic is largely an older population, how do you think that they might respond to a virtual event?
Well, again, mileage varies with technology in an older audience. So you may have to look for ways to encourage some of your older audience. That's why I really like the host model, because it would allow someone who maybe is a table host that's a little bit more savvy on technology. And Jason, I know we had a number of questions on why use YouTube over Facebook and Zoom and some of the others, but I know one of the things that I really like a lot is I've got a Roku TV, and I can just put YouTube up on Roku TV. I've watched baseball games live stream. And if somebody like me can do technology, I think just about anybody can. But it's it really gives an opportunity for some of the people who are more tech savvy to come alongside some of the older generation to do that. But I would look for helpful tips, helpful suggestions that will make it very easy for those in older demographics to join you with this. So
Yeah, I'm
Jason?
recommending YouTube simply just because it doesn't require a login to start streaming. Facebook requires, Facebook account. I don't know. There's other things that require other things, and I'm sure there's other streaming services out there, like Livestream is a service. But YouTube, everyone knows what YouTube is. It's hooked up to just about every TV and every iPhone, and it's fairly straightforward to live stream on YouTube. So that's why we're recommending that option.
Well, we had a team last Friday that Jason helped that was able to get it done in a hurry. So,
Yeah, I had a guy on Friday night who called me and he said, I can't wait till the webinar. Can you send me some information? And I sent him, what I had created. And he literally created a pre-recorded video and did a live stream all within 24 hours of his event. So he pulled it off and he did a good job. So, I mean, if you have a lot more time between now and your event, you can be a lot more creative with what you do. But even if you just have a day or two, you can still pull it off.
Yeah, and getting a YouTube account is really easy. Actually, if you're chatting in there, you already have one. YouTube is a Google platform. So if you have a Google login, you have a YouTube account, and then you just have to upgrade, as Jason mentioned earlier.
Yeah, make sure you update. Yeah, make sure you enable your account. I go into this a lot more detail in the video that I talked about in the presentation. I go into a lot more detail about how to do it. So I don't think we need to talk about all that now.
Yeah, we don't, and we will be sending that to all of our customers, and we'll have that available also to non-customers. So be watching for an email from us. Mm-hmm. Now, we have several folks who've asked questions about auctions. Can you make any suggestions about auctions and possibly moving those online to a virtual environment?
Well, I think there's a lot of options out there for moving an auction on. I mean, you can do it in so many different ways, just very much like we do our dinner. Now, you may have there may be items that you get out ahead of time, and virtual and online auctions that's pretty common practice nowadays. So there's a lot of services that can help you with that, including eBay and just even companies that will help you in doing those kinds of things. So there's options out there. Jason, any things that you've used?
I haven't really had a lot of experience doing auctions virtually, but I know that there's a lot of stuff out there. I'm sure if you just Google search for online auctions, you'll probably find a variety of software out there. So.
Yep. All right. Now we talked about option 1 and option 2 in the webinar. There was some confusion in regards to the target audience for option number 2. Yeah. So can you clarify that target audience, please?
Great question. And yeah, I saw that as well too. They both really have the same audience, the same target audience. I think the question is option number 1 for donors and option number 2 for someone else. They both are for donors. It's the one option is if you're focusing mostly on single users, individuals who are just viewing this on their own. We know the attention span typically of a single user is going to be fairly short. But if you're going to be employing the table host strategy where you're trying to show it to pockets of people at the same time, that second option works better because then you don't have all the distractions. If you're a single user, generally what's happening is you've got other distractions, things, you're checking your iPhone, you're checking, your emails, and while you've got the screen minimized or something while you're doing it. But with option number 2, you have a little bit more time because you're in there with other people watching it at the same time. So it really allows you more time to focus people's attention, and they're going to hang in there longer because they've got other people with them at that particular time. I know there was a question out there too I saw on, do you reimburse or cover people's expenses and things. We really see this as kind of a fun time. Hope it's just a fellowship time for people in those small groups, and I would expect this to be, you want to make it as simple as possible. You don't want somebody cooking a big meal if they're not up to that. So even just buying something as simple as some desserts, and I don't think you would need to cover the cost of that. But the reason we like the table host option is that it just affords for the fellowship, and just even going and get a coffee cake or a bunch of cheesecakes at Costco could be just fine and satisfactory.
Yeah, just think of it like a sporting event or something. You get together to watch football, so get together and watch the live stream. But we just feel like getting people together, even if it's in really small groups. I saw in the chat that it's 10 now, but so you get together in groups of 5. We just keep innovating. It's just you're just gonna have a lot more focus with people sitting down and watching, and just having that fellowship around. Plus the table host gonna have, packets, that they can give out information and give out cards or whatever. So that's just gonna be a lot more engaging than just 100% virtual. But you guys have to decide what's best for you.
Yeah, because most tables, are 6, 7, 8, so you could 9, you could keep it under 10 for sure.
Yep. And I think you just sort of answered another question in regards to, do you still do donation cards? That can certainly be an option. If you are inviting people into somebody's home, those folks can have those cards to distribute and then mail back to your ministry, or you could mail those out in the mail as well, for those that maybe don't give online. We have a lot of folks that are considering doing a virtual event now and a physical event in the fall. How would you advise in this situation?
Yeah, well, I kind of like that in some ways because it still emphasizes the importance of the live event, and nothing's going to beat a live event. So it could be one of those things that you focus on kind of keeping people connected, because it's at the 1 year point from your last dinner. So you can let them know everything that happened in the last year, but then encourage them to come back to, hear everything from a live aspect in the fall. Just make sure you take into consideration all the ramifications of moving seasons. Once again, just a reminder that, are you going to shift seasons from spring to fall then, or if you want to get back to spring, then essentially you're doing a virtual in the spring, live in the fall, and then back to live again in the spring, or skip 18 months. But for most ministries, as I said, very difficult to go 18 months and not have any necessary income. But no, I think from the virtual event in the spring, just you can follow up a lot of your large donors. You can follow up your event with personal interaction with large donors afterwards as well too. So that's a big one.
That's great. Jim, you had made a comment at the beginning of the webinar about possibly not receiving refunds, and we had several folks comment and say, "Hey, we've actually been able to get refunds." Sometimes it's there's a clause for epidemics, so don't assume that you won't get a refund or that folks won't make special accommodations for you. Certainly always ask. So I wanted to verbalize that, as that got a little bit of action in our chat.
Absolutely. And somebody brought a really good comment about, I was a force majeure in there, that you can force that. And that was a great comment. And I saw that. And then also, but know that they are very open to rescheduling, because then it's not lost income. And I just had a property yesterday that I've worked with for 3 decades, and essentially said we are encouraging and asking all of our people to try and rebook in this calendar year, but because you're such a long-term client, we'll go 12 months, which just works out perfectly. Again, that's assuming that you can go a year without that income. If you can skip through a year without a dinner.
Right, and sometimes that's tough. But the good news is we serve a big God who knows our needs, and He's faithful to provide. Yeah. Sometimes in unique virtual ways. I loved a comment that somebody made, and I just wanted to share it. They said, pretty soon people will be starved for meaningful, encouraging entertainment with opportunities to get involved. So it's just almost a high five for moving your event to a virtual event. We have had lots of questions also about sponsors. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time there. Regarding corporate sponsorships, so a lot of folks do get sponsors for their events. How might you recruit those for a virtual event? Also, how might you acknowledge those sponsors? Should you inform them before changing an event they've already sponsored? Can you speak to some of those things?
Yeah. Well, you've got. In a sense, I really see the table host. When I saw that question, I thought the table host in a lot the same way. You want to keep those people just like you do table hosts. They're, in a sense, they're sort of your VIPs as well too, because they do so much work just as table hosts do up front, either providing financially, coming alongside and helping with that. So you want to make sure that you keep them, at the top of the list for informing those people. You can look for a lot of creative ways to get that sponsorship out to those people. You could post those corporate sponsors as part of your description for your YouTube. During your YouTube presentation, you can put the names of those sponsors out there. The dinner that Jason was talking about last Saturday night relied a lot on their program and the contents of the program, and everything from what are opportunities, ways we can give to they weren't using any sponsorship, but that is another way of getting those documents. You could almost get a printable version out to people of your program beforehand, so that you could still utilize that sponsorship. So I'm not normally a big sponsorship person, but if you are doing sponsorship, that is those are a couple ways to do that for sure.
Yeah, and I just had this idea while you were talking, Jim, but if you are planning to do a 100% virtual event, there's no reason why you can't physically mail pamphlets or information or a program to somebody, so they could receive the program the day before, and then that program could have a link to the YouTube video or something, so they could actually open it up and watch it, and it's you can go through it that way too. So.
Absolutely. Right. And that just echoes the importance of getting RSVPs for even your virtual events. Mm-hmm. So using a software like Attendeasy to get those registrations, and requiring maybe mailing information so that you can get physical information into the hands of your guests. So it's so important to do that, as opposed to just blasting Facebook and blasting email lists with the link to your YouTube live stream, or wherever you decide to host that live stream. If you do it that way, you won't necessarily know who was interested in attending that event. So
if you notice, we required people to register to this webinar. We could have just thrown the YouTube link on Facebook, but then we'd have no idea who the 600 people are that are watching. So, I mean,
so that was strategic or something.
In fact, somebody even asked, why did we switch platforms? It's because the first platform we used couldn't hold as many people as we had. I saw it get to at least 680 something people on here. So I'm glad we should see it to do a bigger platform that could accommodate. So it's pretty exciting.
Well, and I think too, we wanted to practice what we were preaching, and so we did exactly what we've been instructing folks to do.
Yes.
And it was kind of fun. We had another question, actually several, folks who are not hosting a banquet, but they're hosting a golf outing, which of course is a completely different change of events. So any thoughts in regards to moving a golf outing to a virtual event?
Well, I'd almost flip it on you, Crystal, on that, if you don't mind. I wonder, could we utilize, the Fundraising at all, and some of the things in that you use for walks and those kinds of things for a golf event? Is that a possibility at all?
It's certainly, if you would like to add peer-to-peer fundraising to a golf outing, Fundraising is the perfect option for that. So using Fundraising to have folks register and then also participate as a peer-to-peer fundraiser. It may be advantageous to actually reach out to the golf courses. So again, as we're seeing here on this webinar, you're not alone. There's hundreds of us, thousands of us in the same situation, having to look at creative ways to change our events. And so personally, I would start there, asking the golf locations what they're advising. And then kind of go from there. Again, there were several of these questions, and so our Facebook community group would be a really great place to ask that and get some other folks who are in the same boat as you are to collaborate on an answer, on a solution, or on some ideas for that particular event type.
Yeah, Crystal's on that Facebook community group, and I'm on that Facebook community group. Jim's on the Facebook community group, so we definitely see stuff that you post, and if we think of any other ideas, afterwards or during the week, we can definitely throw it up there.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, we probably want to be respectful of people's time. One thing, I don't know if you mentioned this in the chat, but we'd really like to know what you thought of this live stream, and we'd really like to know who attended the live stream. And so Crystal's going to post a survey in the chat, and if you guys wouldn't mind just clicking on that link at some point and just filling out that survey, letting us know what you thought of the webinar, and letting us know if you think that you are planning to do a virtual event now, and just any feedback you can give us would be great.
Yeah, let us know if you like this way of doing things.
There's also on that survey, there's also a section where if you have more questions or want to chat with a member of our team, you can fill that out, and we're happy to chat with you. We can certainly give you a call and talk one-on-one. So please, I did just post that survey. Please click that link and take our survey. We would love to know what you guys thought. We appreciate you spending your afternoon with us for sure. Or morning for those of you further west than I am.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share as well.
Well, Jim, would you mind just wrapping us up in prayer?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Well, Heavenly Father, I don't personally know every individual situation, but you certainly do. This coronavirus was no surprise to you, and you are the creator of all mankind, and I thank you so much for just your love, your care for us. You have everything in control, and as sort of out of control, or as crazy as it can seem right now with this particular situation, it's not out of your hands, but it's in your complete control, and we just lift that up to you. We put it in your hands, and we thank you for giving us your wisdom, your discernment in what decisions we're to make with regard to these events and how we can make the best of a challenging and difficult situation. We pray, Father, that you would be lifted and glorified in everything that we do and everything that you do. And thank you for the opportunity we have to come together and worship you and to praise you on this call today. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
And Jason, can I mention something before we cut this off?
Sure.
Okay. I did want to mention to you all that we have a couple emails coming your way. So for those of you that are Ministry Sync customers, be watching. There is a copy of this reporting that will make sure that you have access to, as well as the resources that we mentioned. We are offering a discount also to those of you who are not currently customers and looking to host a virtual event. In addition to having the resources that we mentioned, they really are great step-by-step tutorial on how to do a virtual event. Jason did a great job putting that together for sure. If you happen to be watching our webinar today and you did not register for the webinar, please be sure to take that survey so that we have your email address and can get that information into your hands as well. So,
and there is a link to the notes that we talked about. Everything we went over today in the webinar is in the link. I think it's in the description of this video. This is a link to a Google document. Maybe Crystal could put it in the chat too, but download that for sure. That'll give you something you can just print out and bring to your board as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks so much for coming. It's been really great.